Welcome to Legal Beagle.
So, good afternoon. This is another segment of Legal Beagle, and we are proud to have a guest today. In fact, I am very honored to have this guest here today. Her name is Andrea Anderson, and she's going to be explaining a little bit about her personal story of her high-stress, conflicted divorce. And Andrea, we'd like to welcome you to Legal Beagle today.
Thank you.
And I am attorney Christina Like, and I am the host today, and I also am the proud owner of Like Law PLC. And so we're just going to dive right into these questions. Are you ready, Andrea?
Absolutely.
All right. So what kind of situation did you personally have and that made you want to decide to get a divorce?
I know the term narcissist is thrown around a lot these days, but I was definitely married to a full-on narcissist with alcohol abuse and drug abuse issues. It was getting increasingly violent and angry in my home. And I was just very worried for myself, my safety, my children, my pets, even my property and our businesses that we held together. So it was, while it was a hard choice and a difficult road, it was definitely something that has made my life better in the end.
Good. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. But now, did you have to file a personal protection order in your divorce?
I did actually, because we did have a marital home together. It was hard to get him out, so we filed a motion to remove him from the house, and then also a personal protection order when that didn't do enough. I was still being harassed after I asked him to not communicate with me anymore. I still then received, within a matter of days, well over 200 text messages and calls. So then I decided to file a personal protection order.
Okay. And was that before you filed divorce?
It was right around the same time. All of these things were happening quite around the same couple week span. And I was working with my legal counsel so that I could ensure that these steps were being taken just to protect me and to protect my family all at the same time.
Okay. And did you have kids in the house at that time when you filed a PPO?
Yes, I did. And that was my biggest concern, was my children.
And did you have a dog too?
I did. And I was actually very worried that he would attempt to take the dog with him. And being so unstable and with the increasing violence, I didn't want children or animals around him.
Yeah, I can imagine. So how long did it take you to receive a final divorce in your divorce?
Approximately 2.5 years, to my surprise.
Wow, 2.5 years. That
Yeah.
seems like a long time in Michigan.
Yeah, it does. Actually, I had assumed it would be much shorter because we didn't have children in common. But it was not, because there were a variety of civil and criminal issues during the divorce process, where he landed himself in jail a few times as well. So it was a longer process than I expected, and had I known, I would have started much earlier.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this long divorce, did your ex-husband have several attorneys? What could that be causing the reason too for the delay?
Yes, he did. His legal counsel frequently withdrew from his case, both on the criminal and the civil side. So there were a variety of attorneys, I think, between the two, which had some overlap between the civil and the criminal side. I believe there were at least 7 attorneys going through the process. So I believe there were 4 in the divorce case.
Okay. So Andrea, as to the PPO, you indicated that you already had a PPO against your ex-husband. Do you recall if there was any violations of that PPO?
There were numerous violations, actually. He was permitted for some reason to live across the street from me, which was only a few hundred feet away. It was absolutely terrifying because he was using drugs. He was belligerent when I would drive by. He would scream at me. I had no way to drive out of my neighborhood without driving by that house. So he would yell at me if I had the dog out, if I was in the front yard. I just stopped going outside. And he put signs outside to harass me. He would get on apps. If we had like a shared login from the past, he would dig that up and put rude comments on. He filed false police reports against me. Yeah, he violated numerous times.
How many times would you say, well, first of all, did you call the police?
Yes, the police were very familiar with me and with him. Within number of years span, probably about 4 years total, that I was calling the police on him. So I called the police very regularly.
And now you said that you were divorced right around November of 2024. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So can you tell us what, if anything, happened after that? Was it the end after you got divorced?
I wish. Actually, because we had property in common, we had investments in common, and there were some loose ends to wrap up on that, which I jumped into immediately because I was so relieved to be divorced. And he did not. So the pieces that were left for him to accomplish, to finalize everything and really separate us completely for good, he refused to do. So we ended up filing motions to compel him to follow the judgment of divorce. And that took almost another year in the legal process.
And wasn't there, if you recall, wasn't there a motion that was filed by your ex-husband that was a motion to set aside the consent divorce that you had together, that you worked so hard to get?
Yes, actually. And so it was completed in November of 2024, like you said. But by the end of December, they had filed a motion to set aside the divorce. And that was appalling to me after 2.5 years of waiting for this to come through and be finalized. So that was a whole additional process in the legal system that we had to go through in order to not let that happen, because it was a consent divorce. And thankfully, it was not set aside.
And would you say that there was about, I don't know, 7 hearings that we had to attend for that?
Yeah, it was months, shockingly.
Yeah. And when I say we, for all the listeners, Andrea, we worked together on this case together. Wouldn't you say that?
Yes, I would, absolutely.
I felt like I knew your family very well at the end of this. So at the end of this hearing, all those hearings, and I think there was about 7 of them, wouldn't you agree? Did the divorce, did the judge say that the divorce was not going to be set aside?
That's right. It was not set aside. So thankfully, we are still divorced. And then we did have just very technical hearings after that for approximately a year.
Okay. And do you recall, the motion to set aside, I believe they based it on fraud and a couple other things. They were trying to modify the divorce terms too. And did they lose on both of those? Yes,
they lost on all counts. They filed a completely frivolous motion that took months to get through, but it was completely frivolous.
Okay. And that's your opinion too, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Andrea, do you recall receiving attorney fees after this motion, after you won both of the motion to set aside the divorce based on fraud and based on modification?
Yes. Once we got through all of the motions, then especially the motion to compel him to follow the judgment of divorce, then yes, I was awarded attorney fees for that, but not for the entirety of the year that it took post JOD.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Let me ask you this: was the divorce worth it?
Yes.
Okay. And so now you are finally divorced, is that right?
I am finally divorced, and there is so much peace around that in my life for myself, my kids, and my dog.
Well, I am so happy for you, because it seems like you've gone through a lot, and I would like to dive into this, if you don't mind, if you could come back another time, because you've mentioned a few things that I believe our listeners would like to hear a little bit more, because a lot of people are going through what you're going through. So I'm going to end this today, but I just want to thank you again, Andrea. I know that it's difficult to share your story, but you're going to be helping a lot of listeners out there. So, but I hope that you can return to our office again, and not to hire us again, right, for another divorce.
Thank you.
But your story is very compelling to others, and today I just want to make sure that our listeners understand that, if you have a divorce out there, it's a high conflict divorce. Our office is here. We are more than willing to help you. We will try to get you through that. As you can see, Miss Anderson right here is a lot more happier, much more happier than what was before. And I will say this on a personal level: I have seen Miss Anderson go through a 180. You seem a lot happier, stronger. You've got the world by your hands. So I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
And as to all listeners today, I would like you, if you could, like us on this podcast, share it with other people, and don't miss another Legal Beagle with us. And till the next time, we'll see you soon. Thank you again, and thank you, Andrea, for coming with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.